morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Issues by Elsie. Today, I'm going to be sharing a personal experience that I had to encounter while at work. I gave orders to my subordinate at work, and she immediately carried out the orders swiftly. We were understaffed, short-staffed, whichever word you want to use it. And we had patients just some being in their best behavior, some wanting attention, some just being disruptive. And so there was this particular gentleman who was being disruptive, and his disruption was causing other patients who you would say were not really that capacitated or needed more attention. His behavior was causing them to act out, and so being the only nurse on duty and then she being my only aide with more than 30 patients to deal with on my floor, I gave her orders which she carried out swiftly. The orders didn't sit well with the man in question, and the man lashed out at her, asking her who died and made that lady the boss. When she finished up with what she was to do, she came back to me and she told me, so and so wanted to know who died and made you the boss. The statement took me unawares, but I said, are you sure he really said that? And she said yes. And I asked her, what did you tell him? She told me, I told him, well, he will have to ask you who died and made you the boss. And my instincts immediately said, okay, this is something I needed to handle. So I took her and we went right up to the gentleman. I asked him, I said, I understand that you want to know who died and made me the boss. And he said yes. I asked him, do you really want to know? He said yes. I said, are you sure you wouldn't be angry if I tell you who died and made me the boss? He said, no, he won't be. And I stated to him, I said, Jesus died and made me the boss. He looked at me and blotted out to me, good for you. My response, thank you. And then I went further to remind him, I said, look, we are understaffed, we are short-staffed, and we ain't got time to go back and forth with things that you know you should do. You're going to be in your best of behaviors, and if you do not do what you're supposed to do and continue to cause disruptions, many other privileges will definitely or probably be seized or taken away from you. But I need you to behave well, because I know that you have your mind with you, but you just choose to be disruptive. I said, you can understand, I'm the only nurse on duty right now. There have been all types of call-outs, and I do have just one aide to change way over 30 diapers, which is just not even possible. I have medications to pass. So I said, I need you to be in your best of behaviors, or all the privileges will be taken away from you. He looked at me and he told me as if I have a choice. I said, well, yeah, you have a choice. You have a choice, you have a right, but you want to make sure that your rights and your choices are just not causing havoc. That's just all I'm saying. And I know that you have that capability to do that, so be in your best behavior. As I left the room with my aide was like, Elsie, I'm so happy you stood your grounds, because I don't even know how I'm going to do it this evening, and we're just two of us here. I'm happy you didn't play into his hands. And I said, no, but there's no need playing into his hands. We just have to be firm, because sometimes these behaviors is because they let these behaviors and encourage these behaviors, and then it gets in the way. Work can't be done. Other patients are suffering and stuff like that. As I went back to the nurse's station and I stood on my card, I couldn't help but reflect. Who died and made that lady the boss? Was he right? Had people died so that if at all I was a boss, like I said, I was a nurse on duty, and yes, was supervising that shift, does it, looking back and reflecting at his statements, had people died so that I can be a boss, or at least be in the position where I am, that I could give orders to a white guy like him, or a white man like him, who's probably lived all his life and never had anybody, or have a black young woman give orders that are immediately taken, and his life, according to him, is disrupted, and he's feeling bad about it. You know, was he right? As I reflected on the statements, I said, yes, he's right. When you come into a country like this, you will do yourself good to study its history. If you were not a history student and you didn't study history out of this country or out of America, you would understand that America is built on the slavery. It's just been a few years, yes, I call it a few years, that people have been able, black women and black girls have been able to be in a position where they can give orders. They can be supervisors. They can be bosses and give orders for other white people to follow. It doesn't in any way make you superior or should give you an air of superiority, because it's just an aspect. If you feel that way, then you probably, when you start feeling superior over other people, whether you're white or black, it just shows that you have a problem as a person. That's not what it is. But was he right in what he said? Yes, he was right. It's taken a lot of deaths. It's taken a lot of massacres. It's taken a lot of lynchings. It's taken a lot of, how can we put it? Fights for black people in this country and immigrants per se to be able to be in a position where they can give orders for their white counterparts to follow. Yes, it's taken a lot of deaths. If you want to go into it, Martin Luther, some people were even lynched for just looking at a white girl. Some people were, yeah, you do well to educate yourself about this. So he was right. It's taken a lot of deaths for me to be able to give orders that he doesn't find pleasing. Yeah. It's taken a lot of that, but it's also, when I assess and analyze the situation, if I'm not a boss, or if you're not a boss, or if you do not position yourself as a black person to become your own boss, to work hard, even if you're an immigrant, you come into the country, black people, after all the deaths and massacres, do not take and seize the opportunities to become bosses, then it means that the deaths, the many deaths and fights for civil rights, the many fights and lynchings just for voting rights, for rights of even just existence and all that, it means it's all gone and all that blood that was shed, even in the war, even in the war and all that, it means that all that bloodshed was for nothing. But just so that we would understand that blood is not just water, and that it took the blood of many, and it's even still taking the blood of others for us to become bosses. Yes, he was right. People died so that I can become a boss, so that we can become bosses. And so let's make use of it. Yeah, let's make use of it. I wasn't angry with his words, but I reflected on them. And when I got home, I remember I called my kids and I said, this is what this person said, and I used it as a teaching point, which I would always do when it comes to my kids. Yeah, many died so that we can become bosses. So let's make sure that we are truly the bosses. And as for those who, like him, think that people have to die for us to be bosses, oh yeah, that's true. People died so that we will be bosses, and so we must be bosses. Then nothing you're gonna do. If you're even gonna try your racism, try whatever, people will continue to be bosses, because then been a lot of bloodshed for people not to become bosses. And so when we come into a country like this, it's an immigrant country, so everybody is coming from somewhere apart from the Indians anyway. When we come in, it's a leveling field. May hit 1 or 2 inches like that, but let's play by the rules and work towards becoming bosses. Not look at what our limitations are, because yes, there are many people who fought so that we can become the bosses, entrepreneurs, supervisors, whatever. There are many people who fought so that we can be that. And so let's make use of it. And yes, who died to make me a boss? Jesus died to make me a boss. And the many bloods, sheds, and lynchings in the nation like this, just so that a black woman like me, like you, or any other race or person could become a boss, was worth it. It was worth it. And it has not gone in vain. And will never go in vain, because guess what? We will continue to be bosses. Thanks for watching.
I invite you to keep regular dates with me on my new series of Issues by Elsie on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook.
And thanks for joining me on this journey